Hey guys, Adam here. Welcome to another On the Couch review. This time I'll be talking about Divergent. Yeah, this is not a very good movie. This just isn't. It's been a while, like maybe a couple of weeks since I've reviewed a movie I thought was really bad. This is one of those movies. Especially with young adult novel movies. I wouldn't say, now I'm not going to say this is as bad as Twilight because I haven't seen enough young adult adaptations other than Twilight, this, and Hunger Games to say that this is one of the worst. But hypothetically, if I did, I'd say it's pretty close. This really is a bad movie. And not in the good way. Alright, so the plot is, and if you've seen any other science fiction or movie or read any other science fiction novel, you're gonna know what this, you're gonna know that this has been done before. In the future, Chicago is divided by 5 factions. I'm not even going to go name them all because I can't even remember half of them. You got Dauntless, which is the police force. You got Erudite, which is the scientist. Candor, which is like the law guys. Amity, which is the farmers. And there's another one, which our main character is from before she goes into the police force one. And so, yeah, these 5 factions are, the people are going to a faction because due to a test that they are required to take to decide which faction they belong in. And the problem I have with this is later on they say that despite the test telling you which faction you belong in, you have the choice, you still get to choose which faction you belong in. What is the point of the test then? I'm not even kidding. What is the point of the test if you get to choose which one you want anyway? And it even goes further than that. Is that once you get into that faction, you have to train. And if you are in the bottom 10, you are kicked out and you become factionless. You can't even go back to your family who could be in a different faction. You are kicked out. You are gone. Again, what is the point of the test? Basically, this is meant to be a utopian society, which everyone knows is not. Because a movie in a full-on utopian society would actually be really boring. Alright, so our main character is a girl, named Beatrice, who is from the one faction whose name I can't remember. Her parents are Ashley Judd and Tony Goldwyn. Points for that. She picks Dauntless, her brother picks Erudite. And the thing is though, when she took her test, her results were inconclusive, which means she is divergent. Which means she doesn't belong to any faction. Her mind works differently from any other faction because she can pick any choice. She has a choice, which makes her very dangerous because you're either a faction or you're not. That is the rule. You either belong to one faction or you belong to none, and you're basically poor, you're on the street, and you don't belong anywhere. And this is where I have a big problem with this movie. It's trying to be intelligent where it's not. Because it's posing the question, should society have free will? Should society still give in to human nature? It's a question that has been asked and answered in much better movies and probably in much better books. Hell, A Clockwork Orange in a way asked the same question, and it did it better. It did it much better. Here, it just asks the question. It doesn't really give you an answer. And it's because, or it tries to give you an answer, and it just does it very poorly because the villain, who's played by Kate Winslet, who's part of the scientist faction, the erudite, is trying to overthrow the faction whose name I can't remember because they are the governing faction. Or I say, because they are selfless people, their faction was chosen to govern the city. When erudite doesn't want that, they should be the ones to be the governing faction. So they decide to overthrow they decide to mind control Dauntless, overthrow the governing faction, and wipe out all Divergents because they're dangerous. There's a problem with this because Kate Winslet has also stated that human nature and emotion are dangerous and that they should be wiped out. The problem I have with this is that she herself is stating or is displaying human emotion, which is fear. It is very evident that she is fearful of Divergence. She is fearful of not being able to control people. If she wanted to eradicate all human emotion and all emotion, human nature, whatnot, she would have started with herself. That is the problem I have. Now, I understand they're trying to make her look like a hypocrite, but it doesn't work here. Because the thing is, Kate Winslet is one of the worst people in this movie. And she's a really good actress. And she's just sleeping through this damn thing. She's not good in this. And the rest of them are. The acting's actually not that bad in this movie. And I know I'm going to try and keep away from like the philosophical stuff, but it's really, really glaring in this movie is how bad of how poorly asked this question is, and how bad of an answer it gives you, which is they don't give you an answer. Also, I feel like, well, for one thing, I felt like this movie went on longer than it needs to. Also, I felt like this movie took out some stuff or left things out because they wanted to follow the book when they could have also added some stuff. They could have left out some scenes of the training, of Beatrice's training. They could have left that out. And added some other stuff, like there was a subplot between her and her brother, which they don't, where he works where he's training in an erudite. They could have given more because he was actually starting to have doubts about his old faction, about the faction his family lives in. that would have been interesting to see, is him being manipulated, seeing him, but they don't go there. One moment he's telling his sister, look, Erudite's right. Erudite's probably right. Next moment, when the uprising happens, he's with his dad fighting the faction he was living with at the time. So, and they don't mention it, and there's like, yeah, you were right, I'm so sorry. They don't, and that's it. That's it. They don't go any further than that. Also, the main love interest, his name is Four. He's also a Divergent, which they don't really say that. I mean, it's evident that he is, but they don't really give it 100% a say of it. And he also comes from the same faction as Beatrice. Thing is, his father's an abusive asshole. They don't really delve into it except for when they're going into his mind. They mention it in passing, and then they decide to make it a big twist with the character, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work because there's really not that good of a setup. Honestly, there is no setup. It just came out of nowhere because it's in the book, apparently. And there's also another big twist. Ashley Judd also belonged to Dauntless, which is apparent because she was awesome in this movie. She was badass, and she dies. Well, at least she went out awesome, anyway. And so did Tony Goldwyn, even though we don't see him die or get shot, but apparently he got shot and dies. And that's another thing. This is something I've had a problem with a lot of PG-13 rated movies, is that they're too safe. They are so safe. They edit these to where you don't even see someone get shot. And it's distracting. It is really, really distracting. I mean, my sister read the book. My sister's a fan of the book. She told me it's actually very violent. I mean, not like R-rated violent, but violent enough to push a PG-13 rating. Why couldn't they have done that? Why couldn't they have done that? Hunger Games did it better. They did it a lot better, and they had to go through that same choppy editing. But they did it better because you actually felt the weight of the violence. Even with the terrible shaky cam. But here you don't. You don't see anyone get shot. You just hear a sound and someone fall over, and that's it. You don't see anyone die. I mean, it's really distracting. It really is. And you don't really connect enough with some of the characters that die, or even some of the characters that live. You could care less whether they live or die. And that's a problem. That's a serious problem. Because you don't know enough about them. I'm not saying the acting was bad, because it really wasn't. It was actually quite good. But that doesn't excuse them from having any sort of character development. These guys, these guys were having to work with so little. It hurt their performances, really. I mean, like I said, it's good acting, but it still hurt them because despite the actor having to be a good actor, you needed to care, and you still needed to have them have an identity to care, to really care. And you don't. You don't give a shit about any of them. all. Let's see. Also, the ending, the ending, it ends on a cliffhanger, really, where they go beyond the fence. And again, it's characters you don't really care about. I hate to say it, but I don't want to see a sequel. Because I don't know why, but for some reason I do, and it's just not, it's baffling as to why I want to see a sequel, but I do. I actually do. It's kind of sad, really. It really is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and end this review because 1, it's late, 2, I'm a little tired, and 3, I can't talk anymore about this movie. It is bad. Whether it's a good adaptation or not, I don't know. Okay? But as far as I'm concerned, this is basically meant for people who have read the book. Because they don't explain anything either. They don't explain anything at all. They explain the factions, but that's it. They don't explain anything else. Even with the factions, they don't explain it. They don't spend enough time to give you a thorough rundown of this world. Of this world that actually could have been interesting. Despite how much material they've ripped off. Basically, it's just not very good, and yet I still want to see a sequel to this. I don't know why, but I do. It kind of hurts me right now. So I'm going to go ahead and end this review and say Divergent gets a 3 out of 10. That's what I'm giving this movie. Is a 3 out of 10. Maybe the sequel will be better. I don't know. So, yeah. 3 out of 10 for Divergent. Really not even worth seeing. If you want to rent it, fine. But even then, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I just wouldn't, unless you've read the book and you want to see it. That's the only people I can recommend this to. It's the people who have actually read the book, like my sister, who is going to go see it. But that's it. That's the only people I can recommend it to. Okay? That's it. So, alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and get into trailers. First is The Giver. I actually saw this trailer online. Even though it was like a required read back in grade school, I never read it. I've never read this book. It's a short book, so I'm curious as to how they're going to do this. And I had no idea this was a sci-fi, to be honest. But despite that, I've always seen the cover of the book, and all I kept thinking was Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges is the guy on the cover of this book. That is what it is. The problem, what is this, though? I'm starting to fear, and he's a really good actor. He's one of the best. Is that he's starting to like his Rooster Cogburn persona, because he did it with True Grit. He did it with R.I.P.D. He's doing it with that movie Seventh Son, which is out next year. And now he's doing it with The Giver, which kind of worries me. The cast, him and Meryl Streep are in this movie, so who knows? Maybe I'll go see it. I'll probably have to. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe I'll even read the book just to see. I got Noah again. This time it was actually... Alright, another trailer is Noah, which really was more of a sneak peek trailer introduced by Noah, Emma Watson. One thing, and it's a good trailer. I'm looking forward to it this week. One thing that got me, though, is they actually put a disclaimer, and again, same thing with Son of God. Nothing against I'm not attacking religion or anything, but it actually had a disclaimer saying that we read the Bible and we're doing this as historically as accurate as possible to the Bible. What got me, however, is this. From the news that I've heard about this, is that this is actually supposed to be based off the graphic novel of the same name. This is not meant to actually be taken from the Bible. So I am actually curious, did they even read the graphic novel, or are they just saying that so it can get people in the seats? I'm just curious about it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to take things out of the Bible, depending on the book, really. But I mean, it is good to use that as a reference, especially if you're trying to build the arc accurately. But I am saying that you got to stick with one thing or the other. Next, I got The Purge Anarchy. Again, got to see the first one. I'm actually looking forward to this one. I got Transcendence again. Amazing Spider-Man 2 again. Next one is another young adult novel called The Maze Run. All I know is this is pretty much Theseus, the story of Theseus, mixed with Lord of the Flies, which is a boring book. I'm not going to go into that. I didn't think I was going to get this. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to get they were going to make another movie, but I'm a retard, so whatever. Step Up All In. This is like Step Up 5, I guess, or Step Up 6, whatever. This is pushing it. This really is. Enough already. Even the guy who was in the last 4 movies actually says, why is it every time I'm in this, there's a dance battle? In other words, why are we still making movies? I don't even think the last one made enough to break even, and yet they're still making more of this shit. Why? Next, okay, and again, I got The Quiet Ones and Draft Day. Draft Day and The Quiet Ones. Quiet Ones was actually kind of a different trailer, but it was just basically the clips from the last one edited in a different way. So I guess it's still the same trailer, but not really. And Draft Day, of course, it's Draft Day. I got a problem with this, and I don't remember if I actually mentioned the last time I talked about this trailer, is Jennifer Garner's in it. And nothing against her. Nothing at all. However, she is supposedly playing, like, I guess, the girlfriend or the wife of Kevin Costner. Now, I'm trying to remember, I think Jennifer Garner is at least in her 30s. Kevin Costner is almost 60. Kind of weird, to be honest. Whereas, like, say, Dennis Leary, who is in this movie, and he's awesome, is also making the moves on Jennifer Garner in this trailer. Is actually more believable, even though Dennis Leary is also in his 50s. It's much more believable because he doesn't really look like he's in his 50s. Kevin Costner does. Kevin Costner looks old enough to be her father. Because Jennifer Garner does not look like she's in her mid to late 30s at all. and so it's a little weird, but it still looks like they're having a blast. Mostly because it's Kevin Costner and Dennis Leary, and Frank Langella is in it too. So who knows? I'm seeing it. Although I got like 4 other movies on that same day to go see. All right, so that's it. This week I should say this coming week I got Sabotage, the new Arnold movie, which I actually, strangely enough, didn't get any trailers to. Or I did, I just don't remember. I probably did. And Noah. I can't believe I almost forgot that. Alright, so yeah, Sabotage and Noah, I'll have those next week. Week after that is, well, week after that, everyone knows what comes out on April 4th. Oh yeah. Everyone knows what comes out on April 4th.